Hey, this is Camille Williams, and I'm doing my presentation on a brief history of fingerprinting. Why do we classify criminals? Criminals need to be punished for their crimes, obviously. Not knowing who they are will inevitably create chaos in our society. Besides, we don't want to put the wrong person behind bars. One of the earliest criminal classification systems was the Bertillon system, which was developed by Alphonse Bertillon, a 19th century French criminologist. Under the Bertillon system, 11 body parts were measured that were assumed not to change with age. This included the size of your head and the length of your arm. According to Bertillon, the chances that two people would match each other in any particular measurement was about 1 in 4, but the chances that two people will match each other in all 11 measurements is 1 in 4,194,304. Due to inconsistencies in taking measurements, this system became ineffective, but it did pave the way for fingerprinting. People have speculated about the uniqueness of fingerprints for thousands of years. The ancient Chinese used to use fingerprints as signatures on contracts, while the Babylonians used to press their fingertips into clay to record business transactions. The two people that made the greatest contribution to fingerprinting are Francis Galton and Edward Henry. Francis Galton was the cousin of famed biologist Charles Darwin. He, like his famous cousin, was interested in figuring out how certain traits were inherited. Francis thought that fingerprints might be the key to figuring this out, so he conducted a number of experiments in which he used chemical abrasive to remove the fingerprints. But eventually the fingerprints grew back the same way it was before. So he concluded that fingerprints do not change with age, and that there is a 1 in 64 billion chance that two people have the same fingerprint. In 1892, Galton wrote about his findings in a book entitled Fingerprints. In this book, he discussed how he categorized fingerprints into 3 distinct ridge patterns. The first was loops, the second was whorls, the third was arches. He also further subdivided these patterns into minutiae, which are tiny breaks or variations within each pattern. Following in the footsteps of Francis Galton was Edward Henry. He was a British Inspector General of Police. He had read about Galton's findings and decided he would put his findings to practical use. So he replaced the current Bertillon system with the Galton system. He soon came to find that this system was very complicated for each police officer to learn, so he created a new system, the Henry system, which was basically an alphanumeric system where each finger would be assigned a number and each ridge pattern would be assigned a letter, and that was a much simpler way to classify criminals. Now it's over 100 years later and fingerprints are still being used. Fingerprints are not only an invaluable tool to law enforcement, but they also have paved the way for even greater advances such as DNA. One thing that fingerprints has a slight advantage of over DNA is that though identical twins have the same DNA, they do not have the same fingerprints. Thanks for watching.